Good evening and welcome to 27 Minutes here on WJTS 27. Recently, Spencer County Tourism Director Melissa Miller spoke about the importance of tourism within Spencer County.
I'll start by saying that when you hear the word industry, when you think of industry, you typically think of a big gray building with not a lot of windows and people inside wearing hard hats and safety glasses. And when you think of tourism, by contrast, it's a very different picture. You think of people spending days in the sun, hiking on a scenic trail, or holding on to a roller coaster for dear life. I know I have a few photos in my office of me doing just that. But tourism really is an industry, even though it may not be the traditional industry that we think of. And tourism is big business in Indiana. Just a few statewide numbers I wanted to give you. Last year in Indiana, visitors spent $9.8 billion, it's with a B, dollars in Indiana. And Indiana welcomed last year a record high 63.8 million visitors. And also in 2007, 264,900 jobs were created in Indiana from tourism. Not only is tourism big business in Indiana, but it's big business right here in Spencer County. Lodging revenues in 2007 totaled $6.4 million right here in Spencer County. That's up nearly $1 million from 2006. So it's really clear that tourism is an industry here in Spencer County, and it's a growing industry, and that is great news, especially in a time when it seems like we're hearing so many negative things about the economy. I'm really thrilled today to be able to present you with some positive information about our local economy right here in Spencer County. Before I go any farther, I just want to briefly explain a few things about the Spencer County Tourism Commission, who they are and what they do. The Tourism Commission, most simply put, we take a proactive approach to helping Spencer County's tourism industry grow. That is really the easiest way to explain what it is we do. We may use a lot of different tools in order to accomplish that, but that's really our goal, is to make Spencer County's tourism industry grow. The Tourism Commission includes 7 members that are appointed by the Spencer County Board of Commissioners, the Spencer County Council, and 1 by the Mayor of Rockport. All 7 of those individuals are engaged in the lodging or visitor business in some way. In April of 1994, the county adopted our very first innkeeper's tax, which Jeff mentioned earlier. That tax is collected on short-term guests of lodging facilities in Spencer County, which includes hotels, motels, rental cabins, and also rental RVs. The county commissioners established the Tourism Commission to oversee these innkeeper's tax funds that were collected. And like Jeff said, I think it's far surpassed many of the early expectations. Our Visitors Bureau now has 2 full-time staff people and 4 part-time staff people who work in conjunction with a program we have with the state of Indiana. The 4 part-time people we have operate the Nancy Hanks Welcome Centers, which are located on I-64 at approximately mile marker 58. The purpose of the innkeeper's tax, which in 2007 was increased to 4%, is to promote tourist attractions, to engage recreation, visitor development, and promote special events in the community. And our mission statement at the Visitors Bureau is to make Spencer County a leading year-round overnight destination for groups, for families, and for seniors among places in the Midwest. This year and next present really amazing opportunities for tourism in Spencer County with the National Abraham Lincoln Bicentennial Celebration underway. Where Lincoln is concerned, our office is very involved in local, state, and national efforts to commemorate Lincoln's 200th birthday, which will be February 12th of 2009. We're currently working on a variety of efforts to raise awareness for Spencer County's Lincoln heritage. It's our hope that increased promotion will result in bringing new visitors to our area and encourage visitors who are already here to visit our Lincoln attractions when maybe they otherwise wouldn't. It's important to note when you look at our Lincoln sites that most of them are not-for-profit, and traditionally they haven't spent very much on marketing. Places like Lincoln State Park, Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial, and Lincoln Pioneer Village don't have a lot of funds on their own to do a lot of marketing efforts, but through the Visitors Bureau, we're able to help pull resources and promote Spencer County as a place to come and learn about Lincoln. We're here, you can really touch the past, you can follow the trails that he had walked when he was here and really get a chance to come close to seeing and experiencing his experiences here on the Indiana frontier. Studies have shown that cultural tourists, which are those who travel to see things like art and historical sites, spend 33% more than any other tourist segments. So this really is a great opportunity for Spencer County's tourism industry to grow, and we hope that the additional visitors the Lincoln Bicentennial will bring to our area will show in increased revenues at many of our lodging facilities, our area restaurants, gas stations, and shops. Speaking of visitor spending, I'm very pleased today to be able to present to you the first round of data from a tourism economic impact study. It's the first one that Spencer County's ever done, and it was conducted over the summer as a cooperative effort between the Spencer County Visitors Bureau, Holiday World and Splash and Safari, and the University of Southern Indiana. The first phase of this study was completed in the summer of 2007, where we surveyed many of our visitors that came to our area. The second phase of this study will be done this winter, where we'll do some surveying to find out how our area businesses and attractions, how their numbers measure up. So it's a study in process, and this is the very first time that these results have been revealed publicly, and it's just an initial look, just a brief overview of some really exciting information that I think you'll be pleased to see. And it's our hope that this study will serve as a useful lobbying tool with our local governments, our state governments, and also that it will help attract new tourism-related businesses. So, to get started, we did survey 608 people, which may not sound like a lot, but I know I did a lot of the data entry on this myself, and believe me, 600 surveys is a lot. So let's see if I can get this thing going here. Okay. Of the visitors that we surveyed, 49.5% did stay overnight. And the average number of nights that visitors stayed was 2.8 nights, which is really phenomenal because the state average for overnight visitors is 1.8 nights. So we're one whole night above the state average, which is really significant, I think. And here's a look at where people stayed when they came to visit Spencer County, and you can see that 55% of the people that we surveyed stayed at Lake Rudolph, which is Spencer County's largest lodging entity, with more than 200 campground sites and more than 200 rental RVs and cabins. Uh-oh, I went back. Hold on. Okay. When you look at the reason that people visited Spencer County, the number one reason was for attractions. And that is really encouraging because it lets people know that they see us as a destination and that we have places here that they want to visit. This second chart over here gives you a look at how many people we visited and how many people we surveyed and where they went, and it's no surprise that most of the people we surveyed went to Holiday World and Splash and Safari. We would have expected that, considering that Holiday World for the last 2 years has had more than 1 million visitors. The Santa Claus Museum this past year had more than 8,000 visitors. Yay! Which is very exciting, and many of our attractions, places that people go like Buffalo Run or Santa's Candy Castle, they're free places to go, so it's really difficult to track attendance at them. The Santa Claus Museum did a great job keeping track of their attendance this year, so we're very excited. They've had 8,000, and Lincoln Boyhood National Memorial had 120,000 visitors this past year, although we're hoping with the Bicentennial that we can get that number up in the coming year. Oh, I keep going backwards. Hold on. I know. Let me see. Okay. Okay. When you look at the ages of the people who visit Spencer County, it's no surprise that our largest demographic group is 17 and below. Children who want to come here to run through the parks, to go to Holiday World, and then our second highest demographic group is age 25 to 44, which is the parents of all of those children in that first group. So we feel like that's really encouraging and interesting information. It's what we would have suspected, but it's really nice to see it, to see our thoughts confirmed there. Okay. I got to figure out how to do this without going back. Very good. Okay. Spending per individual. These numbers are really exciting for us. The average visitor, this is per person, spent $10 on souvenirs, $36 on lodging, $21 on food, and a little over $50 on activities or attraction admissions. So when you think about the fact that Holiday World has had 1 million visitors every year, and every visitor is spending this much money, it's undeniable that tourism is really having a big impact on Spencer County's economy. Well, probably the thing I'm most proud of that this survey showed us is that visitors who come to Spencer County are really satisfied with their experiences here, and they're really likely to come back. I think that is the key to keeping our tourism industry growing. You can see that 80% of the people said they were very pleased, and you can also see that many of our visitors, 45%, had been here 2 to 5 times. I think this is a great credit to all of the folks who work in Spencer County's tourism industry, the folks who work at the front desks of the hotels, who work at the restaurants, who work the rides at Holiday World. People are having a great time when they come here because our employees in the tourism industry are bending over backwards to make sure that the visitors' needs are met, and that's really great. And I think that is my last slide. Yes, it is. Oh, let's see. Hold on. I should have one more. There we go. Okay. 84% of the visitors that we surveyed said that it was very likely that they would come back to Spencer County. So it just kind of echoes the last 2 slides that people are really having a great time when they come here, and we're very proud of that. We feel like in Spencer County there's so much potential for our tourism industry to grow. However, we recognize that new development is going to be needed, and it's our hope that when this survey is fully complete, that it'll be a great tool that even our friends at Liquid Land Economic Development can use to help attract new tourism-related businesses. We appreciate LEDC's recognition of tourism as an important industry in Spencer County, and we definitely look forward to working with them in the future to help our industry grow.
That's Melissa Miller with the Spencer County Tourism. Bob Knight has been in the news recently, so has Indiana University basketball with the Kelvin Sampson soap opera. Also in the news, Memphis, the only undefeated left in college basketball. All this ties into Quinn Buckner, who played for Bob Knight at IU and was the point guard on the last undefeated college basketball national championship team in 1976. Buckner, who now works for the Indiana Pacers, came by to talk about his experience at IU and Indiana Pacer basketball in general.
Well, I think it's actually been a good season. I think the big challenge for Larry Bird and Jim O'Brien with the team was whether or not you could get the combination of players to match. And I think what Larry really wanted to do is get players that got up and down the court more. I mean, you watch a lot of basketball. The game is changed, I think, for the better. It's more of a faster-paced game, a little bit more of an international flair. And I think it's taken a while for the players to understand Jim O'Brien and Jim O'Brien to understand what kind of players he has.
Well, Jim came in and he vowed to push the ball and score some points. And how is his style maybe different than somebody else's?
Well, it's not nearly as deliberate as the previous coach, Rick Carlisle, who Larry and I both played with in Boston. Right. Rick was a very deliberate half-court coach, and I think Rick's thinking was to try to make the team playoff prepared. But I think the challenge is it depends on your talent. And when the game moves to the point that you don't have big bodies, which the game really doesn't anymore, you have to get up and down the court. The fun part about it with Jim O'Brien is that he preaches shooting threes.
Right.
If you're open at the three-point line and you shoot threes as a rule, that means practice them and are pretty good at it. He expects you to shoot them. And I think that's been something the players have really warmed to, and I think they've tried to work hard at not only that, but tried to be better offensively and defensively.
Well, when you look at the Pacers, it's almost a complete roster turnover from maybe 2 years ago or maybe even last year with the Troy and Mike Dunleavy and those guys coming in, those other guys going out west.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, you look 3 years ago, it is a complete turnover with the exception of Jermaine O'Neal, Jamal Tinsley, and Jeff Foster. Everybody else is relatively new. So I think that's all been a part of the process of learning each other. I think these young people have to learn how to play with each other. Though Mike Dunleavy and Troy Murphy and even Ike Diagu had played with one another, I'm not sure they had played with this kind of system because they had Mike Montgomery, who had come from college at Stanford, very good college coach, but they weren't running. Now you change styles, they've changed coaches, and all of that has to blend. Larry did it, I thought Bird did a good job. Got Kareem Rush, who had played in Missouri, had a successful career at Missouri, went around the league a little bit, played with the Lakers, and has come back and has been good. Travis Diener has come in and made some contributions. So I think he's been able to find some people to play this new style of basketball, and it takes a while for all of that to come together.
How are they defensively? I know that's a big, question that people have to, players have to answer. And if you're going to be on an elite team, how are they defensively?
I think that's their challenge. I mean, the games that, as we were talking, I do 50 games. I haven't done them yet, but the games I've done, the challenge has been keeping people in front of you. But one of the things that I've always felt strongly about, and I know Larry does as well, is that individually you may not be sound. But if your team or your teammates support the fact that an individual isn't sound defensively, you have a chance to be successful. And I still think that's a process that these guys are going through, learning how to be better teammates in terms of helping each other defensively. But the challenge is clearly that, because this team can score 100, maybe 105 points a game, but it gets to a point when you have to feel like you have to score 110. That's a lot of points in the game. Even though this team routinely gets, as I said, 100, I think it averages about 103, between 103 and 105 points a game.
We talked about Larry and his involvement with the Pacers and being such a great player. Is he responding well to being in the front office and watching and putting this thing all together? Does he like it?
Larry is Larry. And I mean, he hasn't changed. I've known Larry now for some 20 plus years. And what I find is interesting is that he is as consistent as anybody I've ever been around. He reminds me very much of Coach Knight in a lot of ways. I mean, about their principles, they're very, very, very consistent. What he's finding, I think, a challenge is I don't think Larry likes the fact that he doesn't have the control that he used to have. When the ball was in his hand, he had total control. If I didn't pass him the ball, he'd go get a rebound. If somebody wouldn't shoot the ball, he'd shoot the ball. All of that he could do. As a coach, he could put people in position. As a head of basketball operations, and I've watched him grow into this, and it's been fun watching a friend go through this and grow with it. He's really tried to put the team in Jim's hands. And he'll have conversations with Jim O'Brien, but when you'll have conversations with him about, would you consider this, doing this or that, he'll take his hands off because he knows that's not his role. So what it says to me is he really appreciates people and their roles. That's just not his role to be hands-on. But I think at times it's a little more difficult than he'd like.
We'll get back to Larry in just a second. Quinn, you see a lot of NBA basketball. Who are some of the better players that you like to watch, or some of the teams that you really respect as you watch games in the NBA?
Well, Kobe Bryant, in my opinion, is the best player in the game. I mean, you watch a lot of players. I think LeBron James is a terrific player at Cleveland. You go up and down the list. I like Phoenix. I like Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash because I love guys that make people better, and he's terrific at doing that. Tim Duncan is the constant. I like the fact that he's able to do what he does. Manu Ginobili is just the opposite of that. He is such a variable. You don't know what he's going to do, but I enjoy watching that. Dwayne Wade is fine, but I really like guys who are more about winning than not. I see some guys, and I won't even name them, that they score points, but they have no idea how to win or get their teammates to contribute to whatever the group is trying to do.
And you got guys like Kobe and Kevin Garnett that came right out of high school. Is that a problem with these guys coming out of high school or leaving college early? Does it make the game worse?
It's an interesting thing. I don't know if it makes it worse because I think they're better talented than I was, and probably Larry and a number of kids coming out of high school. I think there are numerous impacts of it though. They're less mature because they haven't gone through the college fundamentally. And for me, I always thought the biggest aspect of college, I thought college in terms of a learning and academic environment, I don't want to say it wasn't hard, but if you go to class and you do homework, you can pass.
Right.
But the bigger aspect for me was the fact that I learned to deal with people from different places. I understood time management better and all those kind of things. A lot of the young people today don't understand that. But the issue for them is they're in a system from an earning standpoint where, and this, I don't want to get overly complicated for our listeners and our viewers. The system suggests that the first 4 years you come out and in the NBA, the first player in the draft gets X. Everybody else gets X minus 1. So you're pegged.
Right.
This is really, it's price fixing.
Yeah.
It's interesting, but if you collectively bargain, you can do it.
Yeah.
Until you get past your 5th year, you're in that system. Once you get out of that, you have a chance at making this big chunk of earning. What the kids and the agents came to right away was start the clock early. So that's why they leave early. The other aspect that they frankly have to deal with is the longer you're in school, if you come out, let's say you come out, you're top flight out of high school. The longer you're in college, the more people start looking at what you can't do than what you can do. So systemically, you got a problem. So you can't stay in school because, one, you want to get the clock started. 2, you start devaluing yourself. But from a pure basketball perspective and the way we're accustomed to seeing it, it's changed forever. And I don't know if that's all bad in this sense. I wouldn't want to see the same game I saw 30 years ago. I want to see something different, and this is different.
Speaking of in the past, you played on the last undefeated college basketball team in '76, ran that team. Just talk about that. Just talk about that. Don't be modest. Talk about that experience playing on that team and some of the guys you played with. It had to be a great way to conclude the college career and be a part of that.
Well, it was a terrific experience. Having played at Indiana University and playing for Coach Knight was really a maturing experience, let's just say. In terms of playing on that team, I was very fortunate. I played with guys who understood their roles, and we all tried to make our contributions within the concept, and Coach was adamant about that. And very much like the New England Patriots are doing, and it's funny, I've had numerous calls about that whole thing. The issue was never to go undefeated. It was to win the next game you're playing. And as long as you kept your eye on that and not trying to win, go undefeated, then you had a chance to be successful throughout the course of that season. And I think that's really been the thing that I admired most about Coach, his ability to keep us singly focused on the practice we were in for that day, what we were trying to get accomplished, and doing that day to day. We never thought about going undefeated. We just thought about winning the next game, no matter who it was, if they didn't have the same jersey we had on it.
With Coach Cruz right down the road at Evansville for all those years, I had a chance to talk to him about playing for Coach Knight. What are some of the things that people don't understand about Coach? I know he's misunderstood a lot, but you guys were up close and personal with Coach, and you remain close to Coach today. Talk about some of the things that people just don't realize about Coach.
I think they've heard it. I don't think they understand. First of all, he's a really good person who to this day, you call him and he can tell you where all of us are, kids, the whole thing. The fact that he did a number of things that he would not want us to talk about off the court to help other people, because that's really what he's about. He's about helping people, and he did this all the time. And if he finds out you said something about it, he really does. He gets real ticked off about it. And I think it's part of what those of us who believe that when you do good, you don't need to tell people. You did good because it's the right thing to do. And I'm a proponent of that, and that's really what Coach is all about. So I think he's a terrific guy, terrific husband, obviously a heck of a basketball coach, but he's a terrific friend as well.
When you're playing for him, do you ever think he'd last this long with the way, maybe the climate has changed as well, like we talked about with the NBA? Are you surprised by his longevity?
No, because at the end of the day, he flat out, he's forgotten more basketball than I know, than most people know. He's forgotten it. What he's had to manage, and it has been a challenge for him and his son Patrick, who's with him, is the way people receive what he gives them in terms of the students learning. The environment that he taught, with my senior class and all of us was very overbearing, demonstrative, and we accepted that because that was the way you got things done. Today, because people have changed, you have to be willing to deliver it differently and understand, and periodically there's going to be somebody to ask the question why. And that has to be a bit of eye-opening experience for him.
When you went on to the NBA and you played with Larry Bird, 84 Celtics, my team. What was it like playing with Larry Bird and playing on a team that was that good?
Well, I was, fortunate in some regard. I knew who Larry was but I hadn't spent a lot of time with Larry. When I was a junior, Larry had actually come to IU, and I had gone on an international trip playing against, I think, the Soviet team in about a 2-week period. By the time I got back, I asked my brother who was attending Indiana University, I said, where's Bird? Because I wanted to, get a new teammate, try to make him comfortable. He said, Quinn, I think I saw him on 37 with his suitcase. I think he went home. And so when I got to coach, I said, well, where's Larry? And he told me he'd gone home. So I say all of that because when I got traded to Boston, Larry was the first person I sought because I felt kind of a kindred spirit, actually, playing in Indiana.
Yeah.
He could come there. And he was very, very open and friendly as we continue to be friends. But what I liked about Larry was when it came time to play or work, depending on if we practice or playing the game, he came to play. And I like guys, I don't mind playing around. I don't mind having a good time. But when it's time to do what we got to do, let's do what we got to do. All that other goes by the wayside. And that's the way Larry was. So it was very easy. And I was very comfortable playing with Larry.
And it seemed like that rubbed off on DJ or Chief or Gerald Henderson or Greg Kite or anybody down that bench, that they liked playing with Larry and they were a better team because of it.
I don't think there's any question that we were a better team having had Larry on it, and not necessarily because of all of his offensive skills, but because he brings the work ethic, fortunately, from down here, where you come to work. And I think what people realize is Larry doesn't talk very much. But what Larry does is whatever he has to do. So when he says something, you're paying attention because he just doesn't talk very much. And I think it helped. Robert Parrish is a quiet guy. Kevin McHale is not necessarily a quiet guy, but he's a guy who could follow the lead of Larry because he'd seen Larry have the success he had at Indiana State. But at the end of the day, Larry was a terrific player, but he led not by demanding of you verbally, but by you watching what he demanded of himself, and you'd feel like, when you're on teams like that, the teams I played at IU, all the teams I played, you don't want to let your teammate down. Well, when Larry's working that hard, you don't want to let Larry down.
Did he really get a kick out of those matchups with Magic Johnson? Like it was well documented? Oh, yeah.
Larry's he's a fierce competitor. He doesn't like losing at anything, pool or anything today. And he frankly felt, that I think the way I viewed it, I've never asked Larry this, which I really should. When Magic and that team won, they took away something from Larry that Larry knew was going to, not in this sense, he knew it was going to be something very special. They had won the regular season and gone undefeated. Well, they would have had a chance to have supplanted the 76 Indiana team with him having gone to Indiana State with the same kind of result. Magic took that from him. And he's never expressed that. I just know how Larry thinks. And the opportunity to take this kid who was from a totally different environment, great kid, Magic's a great kid, but have the same competitive spirit, and Larry didn't come out on the top end of that, that was the motivation for Larry every time we played the Lakers. He hated the Lakers. And I viewed the Lakers very much like I view Purdue. You don't have on my jersey, so I don't like you for this game. Larry he hated him. So it was a whole different kind of energy. So yeah, he was very, very intense about the playing relationship. They had they had a cordial relationship because Larry doesn't separate very well. So they spoke to each other, they did commercials together just because that was the thing to do at the time. But it wasn't something, I guarantee you, it wasn't something Larry wanted to do.
Back to the Pacers before we let you go. Do you see good things on the horizon for this franchise?
I really do. We've worked our way through. We've got some issues we're working our way through. But I think Larry's leadership has been very good. He's taken it over for the full time this year. I see that coming through. Larry's consistent. Like I said, it's 25 years I've known him. Hasn't changed. I think the players are starting to better understand what's expected of them. I think they had a sense of it. But it's being drilled down consistently. We've got some people who are still growing in some areas, but I don't think you can have an opportunity like this and not take advantage of it. I think one of the things that we've had to deal with is once Larry took the organization to the finals, there was that expectations of always getting back, and I think we chased it. And I think it was the right thing to do. I think we're getting more and more back to the basics, getting the kind of guys we want that are going to really help us just kind of nurture it along, get it developed again the way we want it developed. Then you can add Sam Perkins, remember the Chris Mullins and pieces like that, and then Larry as the coup de grace, and then you can make that run. But that's a process that takes some time. But I see big strides here. Truthfully, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen them. Even though it appears that we've taken some steps back because we lost some games, I thought we had a big win yesterday against Philadelphia, and will continue to improve as the style becomes more ingrained in the players.
That's Indiana Pacer analyst Quinn Buckner. This has been 27 Minutes here on WJTS 27. For the entire crew, I'm Kurt Gutgsell. Have a great night.